Hello, I'm Wendy Wilson, and I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Realizing Potential. Today I have with me in the studio an educator who's very familiar within the Southwest Georgia community. He does great things at Westover High School. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about his activities this summer and also what he does as it relates to just commitment to young men in the community and helping them to advance. He is none other than Mr. Samuel Mackey. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Tell the viewers who may not be familiar with you a little bit about your background, where you went to school, earned your degrees from. We know that we have a background in math. What inspired that?
Okay, well, I actually graduated from Auburn High School.
Okay.
Back in, I'm not going to say when, but I graduated from Auburn High School. Mm-hmm. Then I went on to go to Auburn State University, where I graduated with a math degree.
Okay.
I spent 2 years after that as a long-term substitute teacher. Then I taught 1 year at Mary Acres Middle School, rather. And then I moved back to Florida, and I started teaching at a school called Nova High School, which is in Broward County.
Okay. I knew there was an Albany State connection. I thought it was one of your sons. Because you have a son at Fort Valley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, has he graduated already?
Just graduated.
Okay. And I remember seeing the pennant in your window. I was like, I believe he went to Albany State. And
yes,
see, I'm trying to pass you off to Fort Valley, and they'll have a fit over here.
That's the other blue and gold. This is the real blue and gold.
I gotcha. What inspired your love or your passion for math?
Actually, back in the 4th grade, I had a great math teacher, Mr. Snyder. He was an outstanding math teacher. He made it real, and he gave students an opportunity, and he believed in students. And so I then moved on to high school and had a great teacher, Miss Judy Thomas. Miss Judy Thomas, she always would say, I have this much information that I know about mathematics, a little spot on the wall, and then she'll say, the rest of the wall is how much math is out there. So she believed in her students, and I said I wanted to become that type of math student where I believed in students. I knew I had the skill set to teach it, but I wanted to have the compassion to work with students who may not, understand as well as I did.
Gotcha. So I know you have a breadth of responsibilities at Westover. You are certainly serving in the role of one of the assistant principals there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in addition to that, your student engagement is ongoing and constant, and you certainly have to have a passion for it. And so I applaud you for that. Tell us a little bit about what then inspired you to expand that, because you are involved outside of the classroom or outside of the Westover experience on a daily basis with young men and just keeping them engaged and involved and helping to advance them. Tell us a little bit about the organization that you lead.
Okay, well, actually, back in 1999 when I moved to back to Florida, I saw that there were young men were always not as driven and not always given an opportunity to express themselves, because for whatever reason. So I decided to start an organization because I had one young man in particular. He was a smart young man in my math class, but he did not really challenge himself the way he needed to. So I forced him to challenge himself. So I put him in from a regular class into an advanced level geometry class the next year. And I saw that kind of worked for him, and he became more open to expressing himself. So that was one of the main reasons why I started the Together organization. And it's an acronym that stands for Talking Openly, Growing Educationally, Training Honorably, and Empowering Reasoning. And so once I started that organization, the first year it became an organization where they had young men who would get in trouble all the time, and that's not what I was looking for. I don't mind working with kids who struggle a little bit. That's okay.
Yes. But
they have to have a ability to want to be a part of the organization.
Okay.
So the next year we started the organization where the kids had to get an interview process done first. So we interviewed, and I've been doing this for, I guess, 20 years now.
Wow.
They're asked 5 specific questions, and then so after those 5 specific questions are answered, we then move forward and we do a follow-up interview. And based upon that follow-up interview, the young men are accepted into the organization. The one thing about the Together, even since 1999, we do not charge young men a dime to be a part of. They have to be actively involved, but we do not charge them a dime. So I conducted a program at Nova High School, which was an A school. It was a great school and all those things. But then I became an assistant principal at an alternative school. And I was told, no, Mr. Mackey, that's not going to work there because those kids won't do well. And I didn't believe that because I don't believe what I'm told. I believe what is real. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. We're going to not do it the first year because I need to get acclimated to being an assistant principal. And I also need to get acclimated to the environment. So that's what I did. But the second year, I started organization. And it was amazing because we had some young men who were 17 in the 7th grade, 22 in the 12th grade. And it was amazing to see those young men when we put them in that organization. We enlighten them to what expectations are, high expectations, working hard, believing in yourselves, and knowing your perspective in life. And they did well. We did that for about 5 years. Then I moved on back to Albany, Georgia, and I had a great principal there. And the first year I did not want to do it at Albany High School because I want to get acclimated first. And then so that's when the second year I decided to start, and my principal allowed us to do it at Auburn High School. And when we conducted the program at Auburn High School, that was the same year that Auburn High School closed down as a school here in Dougherty County in 2017. So what I decided to do then, I asked my young men, because I always go to them, because this is not about me, it's about them. So I said, well, what would you want me to do? I said, I know I'm going to move on to and become an assistant principal at another school, but do I want to just take the program to that one school in which I'm going to be working? Or do I want to give it a more outreach for the community? And the young men said, well, look, Mr. Mackey, some of us are going to go to Westover, some of us are going to go to Dougherty, some of us are going to go to Monroe. So at that point, I made up my mind. We're going to do a nonprofit organization, and that's what we have done. And because of that, I have had an opportunity to work with young men from Deerfield, Windsor, Dougherty High School, Monroe High School, Westover High School, and Lee County.
Well, thank you for the interest and the desire to work with our young men. You were to be applauded. The need is certainly there, but very few step up to the plate and take on that endeavor. I won't call it a challenge because I know that it's probably a labor of love.
Yes, ma'am.
And what I particularly love that you did not say, but I also heard you say, is particularly when you were working at the alternative school, is that you set the expectation before the young men, despite the challenges that they may have had, despite the circumstances that then caused them to be in that environment. You said, don't let that define you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I expect greatness. Let's spark that, and then I'm sure you have countless stories, success stories, where society or whatever the environment may have then defined something else for them, but you show them an alternative. And so I can only imagine. And we have a few young men here today that we'll get a chance to speak to. Before we actually introduce them, share one of your greatest stories that I'm sure brings a lot of pride. I know you probably have a large portfolio to pull from, but can you share one where society or the environment may have designed or created a different pathway for them, and this organization alter that?
Okay, I have one young man. His name is, I won't say his last name, but his name is Daryl. Daryl, and I told my young men about him before. Daryl was he was an angry young man. Okay. His mom and dad recently got divorced. Daryl was angry because he just didn't feel that his mom did what was right. She should have kept the marriage. And so one day I actually was at my Nova High School and down in Broward County, and he got out the car, and his mom, new white car, and he slammed the door. Started yelling at his mom and telling her, and I said, no, man, that's not how we do it, sir. We're not doing that. So I kind of got in his face and told him, no, this is not what we're going to do. So he decided to go back, and he talked to his mom, and I said, I'll tell you what, sir, this was probably the third year together. I said, you're going to become one of my members. And I ain't doing that jump, man. I'm not doing the jump, Mr. Mackey. So I said, sure you are. So he was one of my young men that I kind of had to work on. Then I interviewed him. He said, you know what, Mr. Mackey, I'm going to try this. And he tried it. And he was a member for 4 years. And he eventually, he had some struggles academically, but as all young men who are part of the organization, I don't care what your GPA is, I don't care what your grades are when you enter the organization. It's what you do as you continue to progress through it. So all the young men have to increase their grades. They have to be a part of the community. They have to be involved and engaged in themselves to become the best him that they can possibly become. So he listened to what I said, And he became, actually, he started college. And when he graduated, when he went on to college, he was one of the young men who actually started a mentoring program at, I think it was FAMU.
Okay.
It was a small organization.
Giving back.
So he was a struggle because he was angry, but we got him to understand that he's a great person.
Yes.
And he had we had taught him perspective, and when he understood perspective and he understand rationale and reasoning as what we do in our organization, he became a better person.
That's
so I don't want to say it's because of me, because it's never about me, but the program itself and what we do in our meetings inspired him to become a better young man.
That's outstanding, and I love that he gave it back.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. What better example, and becoming a living testament, if you will, to others. This was my condition, and this is what this experience has allowed me to create for my life and impact others. That's outstanding. I'd like to speak with these young men that you've impacted so that they can tell us a little bit about how they experience it if it's on a daily basis, or how it's influenced their lives, and what they have, those tools that they've gained from it and how they are applying it. So viewers, we will take a slight break, and then next I will have some individuals who are actually participating in this outstanding organization.
Why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're really good at it. Yeah, I get it.
Viewers, thank you for joining me again. I'm honored to have two representatives, or two members actually, from the organization together, and they are going to introduce themselves, tell me what school they attend, what the program and the organization has meant to them. So I'll begin with you. Tell us your name and what school you're attending.
My name is Joshua Lumugdang. I go to Deerfield Windsor School. I'm an upcoming junior now.
Okay.
And what Together meant to me is, it's a group I feel that has helped develop my maturity and prepared me for what I need to be prepared for as I approach both the end of my high school years and as I approach the college level. And the things that we've learned from Mr. Mackey, like both the values we've learned to be good people, and also to work hard at school and to succeed as well as you can, have really helped me to understand what I need to do so that I can reach a point where I can be proud of myself in the future. Because this program really focuses on what we can be, not really that, oh, you need to be super rich, you need to be super successful.
Sure.
But what is emphasized in this group is that we each have our own role in society, and we have to be able to surpass what people think we can be, and try to be something that can help the community and help ourselves in the best way possible.
Outstanding. I heard a lot of things that that Mr. Mackey indicated, and you certainly have alluded to that in terms of just character development. That is just so crucial in terms of your ability to succeed and thrive, and as you said, make an impact in society. You certainly have already mastered that maturity component. So thank you for bringing that. And there's evidence in the statement that you made as it relates to not letting others define you, but you defining yourself and being comfortable with who you are. So yeah, you guys are super advanced. So much so, you've surpassed a lot of adults that I know too. Sir, introduce yourself to the viewers and tell us what school you attend.
All right, so my name is Santiago Borda.
Yes.
I attend Westover High School, and I am a rising senior over there.
Okay, excellent.
So Together has a lot of components that really help me in life. They have taught me how to be a better person, how to give back to the community, and take a lot of initiative towards activities that usually seem tough. And Mr. Mackey over here has done a lot of things for us. He has taught us values, how to be better people, and how to shape ourselves in order to lead society.
Excellent, excellent. So I love that word, lead. What are some of your plans, aspirations? So after Westover, hopefully you will consider, you're considering college or maybe going into the workforce or service. What are your plans?
I I am considering attending college, mostly Florida State University or Oklahoma State, to study meteorology and hopefully major in it.
Outstanding.
And I've also had a plan to study abroad, probably in Germany.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I love that. A plan, a plan. I was having a conversation with a mentor just last evening, and she was explaining to me what I thought I already knew in terms of plan design for your life, but she gave me some additional tips that were quite inspiring. But that's the key. Planning, because otherwise what you and I spoke about, or what you mentioned earlier, if you don't make a plan, I know you all have, I'm sure, discussed this throughout the organization, if you don't make a plan for your lives, there's somebody else out there making plans for you, and they may not align with what you desire for yourself, or what the world or the greater society is deserving of in terms of your contributions. Yes, yes. So Mr. Mackey mentioned how many of the alumni, if you will, of the organization have gone on, and they are too giving back. Do you also have your sights on that? How do you plan on and that's kind of been a reoccurring theme. What are your thoughts in terms of once you graduate? What will be your give back to the greater society and hopefully even impacting young men like yourselves? Yes, sir.
Well, I'm planning on making a food drive.
Food drive, okay.
Later on, if I graduate, hopefully I will get some help from the community to host this, and we hope to help out the homeless.
Yes, yes. Well, that will certainly. Unfortunately, that need is pervasive and grave all across the country. Certainly within this congressional district. So I'm sure it will be welcome, and certainly the need is there. Yes, sir. Any thoughts on that? Your give back?
Like, I think even just in the small group, like to give back to together, like Mr. Mackey brings a lot of speakers, people that, like adults that can give the experience to us.
Okay.
So hopefully one day I can be at a point where I can be a speaker too.
Yes.
To speak to, the younger kids too, because we have to help develop each generation.
I agree. I don't know what the age group is. Will either of you share? Is it a wide range, just all high schoolers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All of high school.
Well, I'll have to ask Mr. Mackey. I think you all are already ready to be public speakers and to engage those that are incoming into the program. And certainly there's some outreach where you can maybe speak with some middle schoolers and elementary schoolers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so don't be surprised if you get some phone calls as a result of this airing, where people are going to then ask you to come and speak. You're outstanding young men, and the maturity is already there. So again, evidence of the great work of Dr. Mackey. So we'll transition a little bit and hear some of your other cohorts in the program and see if I'm sure they are like-minded. Thank you so much for joining me today, though, gentlemen.
Thank you
very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Viewers, I'm excited to say I have two more young men that I'd like to introduce you to, and we'll learn of their impact that they've had on society and their community thus far as a result of the organization together. We'll be right back.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Welcome back. Again, I am honored to have two additional members of the Together organization. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about your high school activities, where you attend, and what your plans are after high school. Sir?
Well, my name is Gabriel Charles. I'm a rising senior at Westover High School. I'm currently in the band program. The director is Mr. Roy Eady. And my plans after high school, I want to go to Morehouse or North Carolina A&T to have a double major in criminal justice and music theory.
Outstanding, outstanding. Yes, sir.
And my name is Roger Walls, and I'm a graduate from Westover this year.
Okay, congratulations.
And, while I attended Westover, I ran track, played football, and I was in the medical arts program.
Outstanding, outstanding. So share with me, what are your plans after high school?
Well, after high school, I'm planning to go into, well, actually I'm going to Kentucky State University and run track up there.
Okay,
and
very
I'm
good.
attending the computer engineering program.
Okay. Well, both of you are, and as your other cohorts in the program, are very poised. You exude a lot of maturity, and so that sets you heads and shoulders with other individuals your age and those 10, 15 years your age. So it is obvious, and it's obvious that together it's had a huge impact, and I'm sure your families and just your environment. But I'll let you all share with me what has together done personally for you, the impact that it has had. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, to start off, professionalism. It kind of shows us how to be professional wherever you go.
Yes.
And for me, I had to meet with a lot of colleges to try to get scholarships for track, and as taught from Mr. Mackey, shake, firm hand grip, and look him in the eye. It shows professionalism, and it also helps you like to boost your rate of getting a scholarship.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, sir.
It taught me to value who I am and my character and growing as a person, and it also created a brotherhood for me and for everyone else in the organization, and that was really helpful because sometimes I couldn't really talk to my mom or my sister about certain things, but if I have like a brother like Mr. Roderick, I can come to him, ask him what's going on, you know, be more open to him. He give me back feedback, and Mr. Mackey doing that as well, and it brings everybody together, and it shows professionalism as well, and it also helps me with interviews, applying for scholarships, resumes, putting myself out there, being more open.
Excellent. So great minds think alike. So I have a background in human resources, and so one of the things that I was struck by when I was speaking with Mr. Mackey is that at the onset he started teaching and demonstrating the importance of skills that will help you to advance throughout life. So when he said you had to interview to get into the program, I was immediately impressed, and that he had 5 questions. Do you all remember the questions that he asked?
Can't quite remember it right offhand.
Okay. But nonetheless, you all were successful in answering them because you were then admitted into the program. How long have you been involved in Together?
I've been involved in a year and a half.
Okay, sir?
I mean, 2 years.
2 years. 2 years. Okay, good. And so have we thought about majors? Kentucky State, you mentioned possibly Morehouse or North Carolina?
A&T.
A&T?
Yes, ma'am.
What were the majors you're thinking about?
I want to have a double major, criminal justice
You did say
and
that.
music theory.
Okay. What interests you about those fields?
I want to be a lawyer as well. Criminal justice have that field, but I'm also a musician, so I want to stay in music theory, learn the background of the music, learn how everything operates, learn where these certain songs and harmonies and what motivates people, and then brings that kind of feel and everything. So I want to learn the background and the education behind it.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
And mine's on computer engineering.
Okay.
And that's pretty much because I like it. I love math as well as Mr. Mackey. And it seemed like very interesting to me, so I wanted to.
Now, I'm a little slightly irritated. Nobody said Albany State. I'm going to assume that is only because, as most seniors want to do, and recent graduates, they want to leave home and experience the world. So that is the reason I'm going to assume that nobody's coming?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great answer. We're here if you change your mind, though. I'm teasing you. Those are great schools that you all have selected. And wherever you go, it's about what you put into it and the experience that you choose to create. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So any thoughts or plans to replicate Together if you decide not to come back to Albany? What will be your give back to the community?
Well, I plan on also coming back, like what my cohort said. And I want to be there to inspire people to look at me and see that you can actually do it, and this organization actually helps you if you just give your all into it.
I love that. Great attitude and approach with anything that you do. The successes will be multiple if you take that approach. Yes, sir. Your plan to give back is a result of what you've learned through the Together organization?
It's also what he said, me and motivational, giving back my knowledge, but also doing Toys for Tots, helping back in the community as well. Having them being open out in the community, because Albany needs help. They have help, but it's always many hands make much work lighter. So it's also better for everybody to come together as a unit, and then we can move forward, make the city great.
Great. I love that. Make sure you guys come back. I'm excited about what the future will hold for you and the gentleman that preceded you. So I was always impressed. I've always been impressed with Mr. Mackey, and so he just amped that up for me today. You know, we as professionals, we go into the workplace and we do our 8 to 5, or in some cases, my colleague who is a producer here, we sometimes do 8 to 10 at night, but that just is a part of the passion that we have, and just what the duties call for as it relates to higher education. I say that it's demanding, but, and as I'm sure it is, and I'm making an example, we're here also because he won't talk about himself, so we'll have to wrap it up talking about Mr. Mackey. And so I'm sure he has a very similar day. And then to be intentional about giving back to gentlemen and helping to create a greater society through you is absolutely impressive. And so I thank Mr. Mackey. If we only had 10 more like him in this community, I know we'd have greater advancements. But he is to be applauded and celebrated, and the greater society in the world will celebrate that through you and the products that you and the other gentlemen are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was an honor to meet you all. I'm excited about what your future is, and so very thankful for the Mr. Mackeys of the world and for the visions that they have in creating an organization like Together.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. Viewers, thank you so much for joining me for what has turned out to be a very special edition of Realizing Potential. I have the opportunity to engage with young people as it relates to this profession and here in higher education, but I'm particularly excited about having met these 4 fine young men under the direction of Mr. Mackey. He's, as I said earlier, just doing evidence that he's doing a phenomenal job. So again, gentlemen, thank you so much. Mr. Mackey, thank you. And you, I understand, have a little something for me. I'm going to be an honorary member of Together.
From the Together organization, we would like to commend you, Miss Wendy Wilson, our Together shirt.
Thank you
for being a part of this.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you, a pleasure meeting you both, and the gentlemen that joined you today. So now I'm an honorary member of Together. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you.
Viewers, thank you so much for joining me for this edition. I'm Wendy Wilson, and I will see you next time.